So the September event just wrapped up, and of course, we saw no budget iPads, and so a lot of you guys did ask, when are we going to see this launch? So let's delve into that. So the answer is actually pretty straightforward, because Gurman did tell us in the past that we should see an October release for this iPad. Now I thought he would be wrong because Gurman has been wrong about the budget iPad release in the past. He believed the iPad 9 would release at the October event, but that was not the case. And so yes, I thought he'd be wrong again about this tidbit, but that was not the case. Also, do remember the budget iPad has released at every September event since 2019, so I don't think it was wrong to believe Gurman's leak was bogus, and we were going to get the iPad 10 at this event. But no, Gurman against all odds is right, and so yes, I guess we should see this iPad 10 launch at the October event with the rest of the iPads and Macs. And actually, this is going to be the first time Apple does announce the highest end iPads and the cheapest iPads together at the same event. But yes, I guess with the production issues, but also the delay in the iPadOS release, has pushed back the release of this iPad. But honestly, considering that students are the ones buying this, and they go back to school, college, uni around this time of the year, the release of this iPad at the September event would have been perfect. But yeah, I guess there are production issues that stop the release, and actually regarding this, we do have an update. So in case you weren't aware, there were power outages in parts of China because of the heat wave they've been facing, and so of course that halted iPad production, possibly affecting the release of the budget iPads. But now we have good news that production has gone back to normal for these iPads and power has resumed. Now we don't know how far behind they are on schedule because Minchico did say that if power did not come back by August 20, there would be issues, and this report came out on the 29th. And so yeah, that's quite a lot later than the date Quo gave us, which is probably why we're seeing it launch in October instead, and that's a shame. Either way, I'm just glad we have updates regarding production because there was some uncertainty regarding that, and while there is a chance we could see an October launch but a November release, at least we know production has resumed for these iPads. I also want to mention a quick update regarding the MySmartPrice CADs, which of course I've always had my doubts about. Well, Ian Zelbo seems to agree with me because he points out a few issues with these CADs. The first one being the corners, because they are rounder than the iPad Air 5 and the iPad Pro 11-inch, and also the camera bump on the back is too wide to actually fit in the camera hole on the Magic Keyboard. And so yeah, that and the curvier corners would make this incompatible with the Magic Keyboards, and also in the past I have told you guys the dimensions are slightly off and not similar to the 11-inch iPads. And so yes, I'm sure that while this is a rough indicator for the new design, it's definitely not accurate, and there will be some changes with the final design. And in fact, with the confusion regarding the design from many sources, Apple might surprise us with the design of this iPad. Anyways, let's delve into your thoughts regarding this iPad. So Alex H says, if the base iPad's getting a redesign, it's most likely to be a recycled design, so he thinks they're gonna give this base iPad the 2017 iPad Pro design, so of course they can retain the home button on the front, but give us super thin bezels on the sides, and a panel that's laminated. And yes, I completely agree with this. Giving this a recycled design makes the most sense. Apple's been doing that for years with, of course, their lower-end products, and so the iPad 10 following suit in this aspect certainly makes sense. And yes, an iPad Air 3 design for this iPad would be great, because it would get rid of my biggest issue with this iPad, which of course is the panel that's not laminated. And actually, some of you guys might remember the iPad 9 rumors were suggesting that of course the budget iPad was gonna get the iPad Air 3 design, but that was not the case, but maybe that happens this year instead. So V says a panel that's laminated and Apple Pencil 2 support would be a sure buy for me, and yes, I once again do agree with this comment, especially regarding a laminated panel, because that is the biggest issue with the iPads, and so I'm really praying Apple fixes this. And yes, I'm aware that a panel that's not laminated is much easier to fix, but ultimately I do think the pros outweigh the cons, and many consumers will appreciate a panel that's laminated on this iPad. And yes, regarding Apple Pencil 2 support, this would be great. Obviously right now you have to charge the Pencil 1 through the actual port, which does look pretty stupid, and so giving this Apple Pencil 2 support would be pretty neat. So Autumn also agrees with the budget iPads getting the iPad Air 3 design and also says the budget iPad might not get a major redesign till of course the iPad Pros get bigger screen sizes or a design overhaul. Now that does make sense, but I also want to mention the redesign of this budget iPad might also depend on when the iPad Air is getting major upgrades, like new display tech for example, because right now as it stands, M1 exclusive features on the iPad aren't that great, and so if the budget iPad got a major redesign there is a chance it could cannibalize the iPad Air, because when it basically looks the same for the most part and also has a very decent A14 chip in it, then yes, most consumers are gonna get this instead. And so maybe Apple's waiting to give the budget iPad a redesign till of course the iPad Air gets mini LED or OLED, or exclusive M series features within iPadOS that are actually enticing to consumers. For example, let's say Apple gave us Final Cut and Logic Pro support for the M series iPads. I can see that swaying some consumers to the higher end models instead of this budget iPad, even with a new design. But right now as it stands, the software's not differentiated enough with these iPads, and so yeah, I guess giving this budget iPad an older looking design could make sense. So Joe says, I don't see the Magic Keyboard being supported with the budget iPad since it's gonna look goofy, and also the price of the Magic Keyboard is basically as much as the iPad itself, and so that makes zero sense. And yeah, pricing is a fair point because I doubt that many on a budget are gonna be willing to pay $300 for the keyboards, but personally my theory is the existing Magic Keyboards are gonna go down in price, and Apple instead is gonna give us a Magic Keyboard Pro that of course is gonna fill the current price points and give us more features for the iPad Pro consumers. And why I think this is because we're seeing MagSafe with the iPad Pros, and there's rumours about the Smart Connector being scrapped, and so I think it's likely the iPad Pros get new Magic Keyboards with MagSafe support, but the 11-inch existing Magic Keyboard stays in the lineup at a lower price. That of course is for the iPad Air 5 and this new budget iPad. Since I do very much doubt that Apple's going to give us a completely new keyboard they made for the budget iPads, they usually recycle older keyboards from other iPads, and so if MySmartPrice is right about the design, then yes, I do see this budget iPad getting Magic Keyboard support, but the keyboard should have a lower price. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me your thoughts regarding these reports in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video above on details regarding the M2 iPad Pros, and on that note, see ya peeps.